Hello, Fraghead family. My name is Kelly. Welcome to my channel or welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 9 new fragrances with you that I've recently hauled. I've got 2 full-size OAKCHAs and then I've got 7 decants and travel size sprays that I cannot wait to share with you. Before we get started with our video today, I would love to know, what is your scent of the day? Mine is Balmy Days and Sundays by INEKE, is I think how you say it. Which I'm wear testing it today, and when I first put it on, I absolutely hated it because it's very prominent in freesia, and freesia is one of my least favorite notes. Like, it's down at the very bottom of the barrel for me. I put it on about, I don't know, 3 hours ago, but it's funny. So I put this on, I was like, ugh, what did I do? And then I went to the grocery store, came back, I was in the car, stuck in traffic on the way back, smelled my wrist, and I was like, oh, this is actually really nice. It opens up very grassy, very heavy on the freesia. It's like a blast of like green floral. You've got a little bit of honeysuckle up at the top, but then in the dry down, I'm getting the honeysuckle mixed with the rose, but it's like a perfect blend. And then also this beautiful oak moss note with a little bit of musk. And it's the oak moss, the musk, and then the florals interwoven together in the dry down that I'm absolutely loving. It's definitely a skin scent after a couple of hours, at least on me. It also might be because it's very hot outside and I was kind of sweating a little bit while I was running my errands. But yeah, it's interesting. This is a fragrance that kind of took me on a 180 because literally I sprayed it on and I was like, I'm giving the sample away. Like, I won't even finish the sample. It's so gross. And then within an hour, hour and a half, I was like, oh, this is different. I wish it smelled like the dry down the whole way through. But I think for me, it might be worth it to just kind of grin and bear it through the first hour and then, get to the dry down and enjoy it for that phase of it. But yeah, I would love to know in the comments, what is your scent of the day? What are you currently wearing? Please let us know. Starting with the very first fragrance, we have the much adored Dolce & Gabbana's Devotion. I've got a travel size of this. I will be, spoiler alert, upgrading to a full-size bottle when this is gone because I love it. Let's talk about it. If you haven't yet gotten your nose on this, I highly recommend it, especially if you like vanilla fragrances, especially if you like gourmand vanillas. It's a designer fragrance, yes, but it smells so much better than like a typical designer fragrance. As some of you know from watching my channel, I'm not really that excited by designer fragrances all that often, and this one has completely captured my heart. What this smells like on the opening is a lemon, like the crust of a lemon custard. It has this sugary lemon. I know it's actually supposed to be candied orange, but to me it comes across as lemon. It has this really sugared lemon, like citrusy, almost sugary, rindy kind of scent going on. There's a note of rum in here. There's a note of panna cotta. The vanilla is kind of in the background and comes out way more on the dry down. But this is beautiful. It kind of reminds me of like a key lime pie if it was made with lemon. Like, it has that sort of creamy, citrusy, sugary, yeah, like gourmand kind of thing going on. This is so pretty, you guys, and the lasting power on this is incredible. I was shocked when I smelled this. A lot of people compare it to Afro Bake and Lyra as well, which I haven't smelled either one of those, but this is just absolutely beautiful. I have only worn this in the winter. I have yet to wear test it during the hotter temperatures. I think that it could withstand some warmer temperatures. I probably wouldn't wear this when it's in the 90s here in Texas. But yeah, it's just so pretty, you guys. It's so smooth. It's a little bit creamy. It's like citrusy, rum, vanilla. Like, it's just, this is absolutely delicious. This is one of the best gourmand designer scents I've ever smelled, just to be honest with you guys. So this is a 10 out of 10 for me. Like I said, I will be getting a full bottle. I'm absolutely obsessed. I recommend getting your nose on it. Devotion by Dolce & Gabbana. Okay, next up, we've got 2 from KAYALI, and one of them is new. The other one is not so new, but new to me. And I'm very excited to share my thoughts with you on this. And also, heads up as well, I did have, by the time you see this video, there will be another video that went up prior to this about new releases. And some of these are some leaks and some upcoming new releases, and there's some KAYALI creations in there that you might want to hear about. So when you're done watching this video, go back and watch that video. I think you'll be really excited about what's to come. Okay, but first off, we've got the new KAYALI. It's the Eden Sparkling Lychee 19, also a decant. Now this is completely different. This is a very juicy, sparkling, very youthful, like crisp, punchy, sweet, light, playful. Yeah, this is a lychee fragrance. To be honest with you guys, I like this. Like, it's nice, but I wanted there to be more lychee. To my nose up top, I'm getting predominantly more of the red apple and the lemon, which is nice. I like that. But I was expecting a more tropical fragrance, whereas this is a little bit more crispy and bright and fresh. It doesn't have a creamy aspect to it that I was somewhat expecting for some reason. Also in the middle, we have some violet, I believe some rose and some jasmine. I'm definitely getting a little bit of the violet, but it's not that like candied violet that kind of I personally don't love. Very, very light on the jasmine, very light on the rose, although you do get more of a floral aspect from this fragrance than like a punchy tropical fruit kind of thing, which is what I was expecting. So it's a bright, fresh, juicy floral. Definitely juicy. That apple note, you can't miss it. It's like almost a different spin on Eden Juicy Apple. Like, it has a similar DNA, but then it goes in like a completely different direction. But yeah, this is nice. I would say this is a very casual fragrance. Again, very youthful fragrance. Like, I see someone wearing this that's in high school. Although of course anyone can wear this, but to me, it feels very casual. It feels very uplifting. It feels fun and flirty. I know guys love this for some reason. I don't know what it is, but guys are just like drooling over this. But yeah, for me, will I get a full bottle? Probably not, but I am enjoying the decant. So I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. Okay, next up, we've got another one from KAYALI. This is something that took me forever. Actually, I did sniff it at Sephora, like when it first came out, but I didn't even spray it. I think I just sniffed the bottle, and I was like indifferent. And then I went back to Sephora last month with a friend. We literally smelled like almost every single fragrance that was available as a tester. And I smelled this and I was like, oh, I have a different feeling about this today. So this is Yum Pistachio Gelato 33 by KAYALI. And this is delicious, you guys. This is a pistachio floral fragrance. To me, it's a nutty, creamy, floral, clean, like there's something so smooth about this fragrance. It smells like the texture of gelato, if that makes sense. I also am getting the pistachio note. I know a lot of people are like, this doesn't smell like pistachio at all. I definitely am getting the pistachio note right from the top. You also just smell the ice cream smell. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. When I was in high school, I worked at an ice cream shop. It was called Graham's Ice Cream and Desserts. And at the end of the day, because we'd be leaning over, scooping ice cream out of the tub. So by the end of the day, we'd have like dried ice cream up our arms, like stuck to our arms. I'd have to go home and like scrub all the dried cream off of my arms. But it had this very specific smell, and it smells like this, I think, which is part of why I love this so much. It feels comforting. It feels familiar. There's also a hazelnut note in here that is pretty prominent. I can smell that for sure. And there's also this beautiful rum note up top that's just, I think that's what's giving it that smooth creaminess. It's not so much that it takes over. There's a little bit of cardamom. I get like a tiny whiff of it, but nothing crazy. It's not really that spicy up top. In the middle, we have some fruits and some florals. We've got some jasmine, we've got some pear, we have some lily of the valley, geranium, some peony. There's some peach in here, I believe, and some raspberry. And you know, I'm not picking out really any of those notes individually, except for maybe the raspberry, but it just kind of gives it this nice sort of floral undertone to keep it from being like a full-blown gourmand fragrance. And then in the base, we have whipped cream, marshmallow, cotton candy. There's some tonka beans, some sandalwood, some cacao, some cedar. Yeah, and that whipped marshmallow, the cotton candy, the tonka, I think that's what's giving it this just very fluffy, smooth, um, just blanketing feel. Like this is truly a very cozy fragrance. I love this. It's so pretty. Like it's just such a versatile, it's such a dynamic fragrance. It has so many facets to it. I love it. It's so not linear. It's so not like anything I've smelled before. Maybe there is something else that smells like this and I just haven't gotten my nose on it yet. It's one of those things I just can't stop sniffing it. I just want to keep pushing my nose into my arm. I have not wear tested this one enough, to be honest, to give you any sort of feedback around the longevity, the sillage, the projection, all of that. I really haven't worn anything that I'm talking about today enough, with the exception of Devotion. I have fully war tested this, and I don't remember if I told you about this, but the projection on this is great. The longevity is great. Like it's just a 10 out of 10 across the board. Like I said, with the others, I haven't really tested them out that much as far as longevity goes. But basically, I'm just rating these on the scents alone. Yeah, so for this, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Okay, next up on the list, we've got another vanilla favorite from the end of 2023. This is none other than Goddess by Burberry. Again, I've got a decant. And this is also a wonderful designer vanilla, very different from Devotion, but so beautiful in its own way. This is primarily a lavender vanilla fragrance. And I just absolutely love this. I love the lavender up top. It's so refreshing. It's so spa-like and soothing and delicious. It does have a little bit of a green thing going on up on the top. Yeah, like I'm getting this greenness and also this like marine-like quality, which I haven't heard anyone else say. I think it's just the blend of the notes. There's also a cacao note up top and a ginger note, which the ginger I can definitely smell if I focus on it. It's kind of lending this like spicy quality to the aromatic. So it's a very like spicy aromatic fragrance on the top. And then the dry down is just this beautiful, smooth, like vanilla concoction, but it's not like a gourmand vanilla. It's a very like aromatic, almost green type of vanilla. In the middle, you have vanilla caviar, and then at the bottom, you have vanilla absolute. So like the dry down is very vanilla. But again, it doesn't really have this like gourmand. It smells like this very pure vanilla. It smells very clean, very, very elegant. Also, there's something about this that smells tropical. Although there aren't really any tropical notes in here, I think there's something about it that just kind of smells. It's not that the fragrance itself smells tropical. I think it's that this would be a really good fragrance to wear on a tropical vacation, like maybe at night out to dinner, you know, once the sun has gone down kind of thing. But this is absolutely beautiful. I think you could wear this in any season. I think will be appropriate. Again, I have not war tested this enough to give you any feedback on the longevity, projection, sillage, all of that. But yeah, so far I've only worn this at night while I'm like winding down. Yeah, I've only sprayed this on my pajamas. I haven't like given this a full go and like gone out with it or anything. But yeah, this is really, really pretty. I don't think this is as mass appealing as Devotion. I definitely think this is something you want to test before you purchase. But I think for those of you that really appreciate lavender, I think that you will like this for sure. And with this one, I'm going to give it a 8.5 out of 10. Next up on the list, we have one that is not new to me. I discovered this last year, I believe, or the year before. I think it was last year. And I talked about this fragrance on my channel before because it filled a need. It filled a hole for me. It filled a gap for me that I was desperately trying to fill. And this fragrance is none other than Sunfruit by Ellis Brooklyn. I got a decant because right before I saw this at Sephora, I had watched a video by Tammy Roxanne. Shout out to Tammy if you're watching this. And she had mentioned that there's a fragrance by LEDDA that smells very similar to this, but with better longevity, because there is a longevity issue with this. I believe that fragrance is called ORRIS something. I haven't yet checked that out. It's on my list. But I just saw this at Sephora and I was like, I know I love this. I'm just going to grab it and just overspray myself because you guys, this is such a beautiful fragrance. However, the longevity is really bad. And I wonder if part of that is because it's a cleaner fragrance. I'm not sure. But this is Ellis Brooklyn Sunfruit. And let me tell you about the void that this fills for me. Let me spray it first, actually. Oh, this is such a beautiful, juicy, citrusy, bright, tropical, summery fragrance, like right out the gate. And then it quickly dries down into this beautiful, smooth, creamy, floral deliciousness. I absolutely love this fragrance. This fragrance to me is summertime in a bottle. It brings me so much joy. It puts such a smile on my face. Let me tell you why I'm obsessed with this fragrance. The summer of 2003, I fell head over heels. And yeah, it was a big love. It was the big love. If anyone's had a summer of love, you know. It was a relationship that I hold so dear to my heart, and I will for the rest of my life. It was such a beautiful, I mean, I had been in love before, but it was it was deeper than anything I had experienced. And that summer, I wore a fragrance called LILU by Pacific Sunwear. I'll put the name of it here. And that smell was the smell of just joy and adventure and freedom and youth and falling in love, and just I was just living this life and having this experience that summer where like everything I knew, I was only 21 years old, and I knew, I was like, this summer is going down in my history books. Like I knew that I would remember this summer when I was 40, 50, 60, and that it would be so special to me. I knew that it was such a magical, magical time. Besides falling in love, like other things about that summer were just so magical. It was such a beautiful time for me. I wish I could capture it and relive it. Of course, we can relive things through our memories, but yeah, that will go down as one of the ultimate experiences of my life, was that summer. And I wore LILU by Pacific Sunwear. And the years after that actually were really tough. One of my best friends actually passed away very tragically the following year in 2004. That was the year I moved out to California, left everyone I knew, moved out to California, kind of was like starting over, was having a really difficult time. I was going through some depression. So I went from having this like absolutely incredible, magical, best year ever in 2003 to kind of going into like breakdown mode and a really dark place 2004 through 2006. That's also when my mom got diagnosed with cancer. So I was clinging on to this fragrance to remind me that life could be good and that I just had to keep moving through the darkness to someday get back to that joy that I felt in the summer of 2003. So I would spray this fragrance. I would spray LILU on myself 2004, 2005, 2006 to remind myself of what could be, because I knew life had been that good once, that it could be that good again, you know? And it was a very therapeutic fragrance for me. And then it got discontinued and like disappeared. And for years, I've been trying to find something that smelled like LILU to just bring me back to that place. And when I first put my nose on Sunfruit, I was like, oh, this is it. This is 1000% it. Like it brought me to tears the first time I smelled it. So let me tell you about the notes. At the top of this fragrance, we have a beautiful blend of pear and fig, a little bit of bergamot tree. The fig is what's the most prominent up top for sure. The pear kind of gives it that tropical sort of crispy, citrusy, well, not the citrus comes from the bergamot, but the pear really gives it that kind of tropical bright opening. And then in the middle, that creaminess is coming in from a blend of some iris, some orange blossoms, some jasmine. I believe there's some cyclamen in here as well. Yeah, that beautiful creamy floral, so good, coming from the blend of those four florals. And then in the base, we have some coconut, some musk, some amber, and some vanilla, which just adds to that creaminess and that depth. It's just such a beautiful, delicious, sweet, beautiful, joyful, tropical, delectable fragrance. And I wish it lasted longer. But like I said, I'm just going to douse myself with this all summer. And then as soon as it's gone, I'm going to take Tammy's word for it, and I'm going to buy myself a bottle of that LEDDA ORRIS 22, I believe it is. and yeah, see what kind of magic we can recreate with that bottle. So SUNFRUIT, 12 out of 10 for me, for sure. Even with the longevity, I don't even care. Just for the fact that it brings me back to the summer of 2003 and floods my brain with those memories in the most beautiful way ever. For that reason alone, I give it a 12 out of 10. Okay, the next fragrance that I want to talk to you about is one that I got through my Scentbird subscription. And this is by a house. This is the first fragrance I've tried from the house. It's by the house Mind Games, and it's called LIONORA. I got this because, first of all, I was very curious about the house, but second of all, this has a top note of passion fruit, which I am a huge, huge passion fruit fan. So of course, I had to smell this immediately. I also heard someone review, I can't remember who it was, someone reviewed it and said they absolutely loved it, that it was like a great summer fragrance. So I have not even worn this on skin yet. I literally just got it yesterday or the day before. But I want to give you my thoughts on this. This smells like something from my childhood, and I cannot figure out what it is. It's so sweet and like tart at the same time from the passion fruit, but there's almost like this melon aspect going on here. Like it has that kind of like that melon feel to it. I'm not talking about like watermelon, more of like a green melon, almost like honeydew cantaloupe. I don't think it's listed, but I definitely get a melon quality from this. This smells like something from my childhood. If anyone knows, I was a kid in the 80s, I was born in 82. If anyone knows what this reminds you of from our childhood, please let me know, because I'm desperately searching through my memory banks trying to figure out what this is. It was driving me nuts, actually. It almost smells like Pez. Almost. It almost smells like Pez, but I don't think that's it. But it kind of has that same almost like chalky sweet kind of candy vibe to it. On the top of this, we've got obviously passion fruit, like I mentioned, and then also some ginger and some tonka. Definitely get the ginger. I don't really smell the tonka. In the mid, we have apricot, osmanthus, and freesia. Yeah, I do smell the freesia, but it's not enough to be like off-putting for me. Definitely smell the apricot. And in the base, we have sandalwood, musk, lactones, and more tonka bean, which obviously I'm not getting there yet. Like it's very much still in the top notes. Like the top notes kind of take over this fragrance from what I can tell so far. I went on a little bit of a frenzy yesterday trying to figure out what this reminded me of, and I didn't grab it. I should have grabbed it out of my sample. I have literal bags of samples, so like to find a specific sample sometimes takes me like an hour, because I need to like come up with a better system besides just throwing things in bags. But I do have a sample of Victoria by Versailles. I was convinced, I was like, this is Bobo by Carner Barcelona, but then I smelled Bobo and I was like, no, this is not Bobo at all. And then I got my hands on Victoria by Versailles while I was going through my samples bag, and I was like, maybe it's similar, but again, if I had them side by side, I could do like a proper comparison. But yeah, this is a very juicy, fruity, like it's like, whoa, here I am. It's very bright, it's very loud, it's very summery. Like I would not wear this in the winter or the fall. I would only wear this if it was like 75 degrees minimum and above. Like this is very punchy. It's very summery. I don't know how I feel yet about this, because it is reminding me of something that I can't put my finger on. And I feel like once I put my finger on what that thing is, I don't know, I'll have like a better feeling about this fragrance. It's not, as much as I love passion fruit, it's not really my classic kind of style of fragrance, because it kind of just stays bright throughout the whole thing. And it doesn't really smell as tropical as I wanted it to smell. Again, same with the sparkling lychee. Like I wanted some sort of creamy aspect to it. Maybe some like woods at the base. I don't know, something to kind of ground this down. However, I do think this is really nice. I like the passion fruit. I like the ginger. I don't know. I need to wear test this, obviously, but as it stands right now, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10 for now. Okay, and last of the decants before we move on to some bottles. So this is something I've been wanting to smell for a very long time, and it's a little bit different from the rest. I feel like the rest were very like kind of summery, maybe. This one is going to be an all year long fragrance, and a lot of you I know have already smelled this. It's by NUIT Nomade, and it's called Jardin. I'm gonna really try to get better at my French. Jardin de MISFAH. And let me tell you guys, when I smelled this is a glorious fragrance. This is this beautiful, this comes off as like a kind of not jammy rose, but this sort of rose that I appreciate the most, which smells like it's almost gone bad. Like, have you ever saved rose petals and like pressed them, and when you put your nose up to them before they've dried out, when they're still kind of fresh, but they're like, or if you've had roses like in a vase and maybe like forgot to keep up with it and they start to turn and you smell the rose petal and it has that smell to it, that is the kind of rose scent that I absolutely love. I don't know what that is called. Is it green? Is it stinky rose, like old mildewy rose? I don't know what it is. I always call it jammy rose because to me it smells jammy, like it's like overly ripe, you know, because it's like on its way out. So it has that kind of smell to it, that almost like pungent smell that I really like. Also, there's a date note in here, which is balancing out so beautifully with the rose. Like, it's this beautiful blend of dates and rose, which I haven't smelled in any other fragrance. And I absolutely love the dates note. Yeah, I just love this. It's so beautiful. It reminds me of Rosé All Day, but to me, Rosé All Day, like, it doesn't remind me exactly of it. Rosé All Day is a very different fragrance, but the rose note in here reminds me of the rose in Rosé All Day. The difference is that for Rosé All Day, I can literally only wear that in November, December. For me, it's a very holiday fragrance. This, I feel like one could wear year round. My issue with this is I wore test it yesterday for the first time, and it lasted for 20 minutes and I couldn't smell it. And I'm so bummed out about that. I'm curious if any of you have had a similar experience with this fragrance. I think next time when I wear test, I'm gonna spray on my clothes, on my hair, like do more sprays. I think I only did like 4 sprays. But yeah, this is absolutely stunning. Some other notes that are involved in this fragrance are cardamom, there's some almond, there's some nutmeg, and there's some saffron. And I feel like all the notes are so beautifully blended. Like, primarily, you're just going to look at this as a rose date fragrance. You're maybe going to get a little bit of the saffron, but everything's so well blended. It's like absolutely beautiful. It's such a like feminine, gorgeous, although men could definitely wear this too, but it's just such a pretty, classic, like lovely. It's just a lovely, lovely fragrance. So I'm hoping to have more success with this when I wear test it again. But as it stands right now, I would give this a 9 out of 10. Okay, moving on. I've got 2 new full bottles from OAKCHA. We actually got 4 new bottles, but one of them was a backup of Speakeasy, because that's Ian's favorite. And then Speakeasy is a dupe for Jazz Club, if you're not aware. It's a beautiful dupe. And then also we got a backup of, or actually it wasn't even a backup. I didn't just buy this. I had put it away in the closet for summertime and just took it out. So I didn't purchase it just recently. I pulled it out of the closet, and it is Secret Lagoon, which is OAKCHA's dupe of Virgin Island water, which Secret Lagoon is such a good dupe. I love OAKCHA. It is hit or miss for me, I've noticed. So they all have a pretty similar DNA where it's like very fluffy, kind of, if that makes sense. And some of the dupes, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Not as far as like being spot on. Like, I never expected dupe to actually smell exactly like it. It's very hard to get like 100% match. But for me, it's more about the longevity. Do I actually like this version of the fragrance? And how close is it? Like, is it 95, 96? So like Secret Lagoon, Speakeasy, and then Heaven Speak is the dupe for Angel Share. Those are my 3 favorites so far. We haven't smelled everything, but those are my 3 favorites. So I also got these 2 new ones. As I mentioned in a previous video, we recently went to the mall, and I, for the very first time, smelled Gypsy Water by BYREDO for the very first time. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I just sprayed it on paper. I did not spray it on skin. So right now it's just not in the budget for me to get a bottle of Gypsy Water. There's some other like more inexpensive bottles that I'd like to purchase first, actually. So I went ahead and got the OAKCHA version, which is Morning Rain. And I've been wear testing this. And let me tell you guys, I don't love it as much as I wanted to. However, it is a really nice fragrance. It's a very aromatic vanilla So it's got that juniper, vanilla, kind of like light, ethereal, sort of airy, like almost like mountain air. Yeah, so it's got some lemon, some bergamot, some pepper up top. There's some pine needles in the mid. There's some incense, some orris root. It has basically the same notes as gypsy water. It's just not blended as well. The pine is a little screechy. The incense isn't as prominent, or the orris, I don't think, in this version. To me, in this version, like I'm very much getting the sandalwood, the bergamot, the juniper, and the vanilla. It's still delicious, but it's not the same. It's not anywhere close, I don't think, from my limited experience with gypsy water. Am I glad that I got this? Yes, I do actually really enjoy this. I wore it, sprayed it before I went on a very long walk with one of my dogs the other day, and I was just getting these wafts, and it's very comforting. It's very nice. It's very crowd pleasing. It's a pretty fragrance. It's clean. It's kind of fresh and, like I said, light and airy. Yeah, but if you are looking for a very close match of gypsy water, I don't think that this is it. So with this, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10, but to be continued, because I also think that it needs to macerate a little bit as well. And last but not least, we have the OAKCHA version of Vanilla Vibes. This is called Vanilla Vacay. I actually got this more for Ian because when he smelled a sample of Vanilla Vibes, he was like, oh my God, it's amazing. So this is a pretty close dupe. It's pretty close. It's a salty vanilla. It has this very beachy, almost suntan lotion vibe. There's also a note of orchid in here and some sandalwood in the dry down. I'm sort of impartial to this, like, to be honest. I was a fan of Vanilla Vibes, not enough to get a full bottle. With this, I'm just kind of like, it's nice. It's nice. It's nothing to like write home about. Ian's obsessed with it. He sprays it like 5 times a day, which you don't need to because it's very long lasting. It's one thing that I love about the OAKCHAs, like across the board, they're all extremely long lasting. Yeah, it's nice. It's a good alternative if you don't care about it being 100% identical or even 95%. I would say it's like maybe 92, 93%. If you don't mind that it's off that much and you want an expensive, I think this is like $40 for a 50 ml, which I think is a decent price, then yeah, I would recommend this. Just don't expect it to be spot on. Yeah, for me, I give it an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching while I shared my haul. I'm very excited about all of these fragrances to continue wear testing them. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you're watching my channel for the very first time and you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. You can also hit the unlike button. Go ahead and subscribe, leave a comment, be a part of the family, and I will see you guys in the next video.